Won't somebody please think of the children? This is Corey, and this is the the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 189 of the the Anthem podcast. It is 7:29 p.m. Pacific. That's 10:29 Eastern Time. And the Anthem is live from coast to coast, coming to you from beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California, high above the 110 freeway, in the hashtag OTLA studios.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for sharing and liking and subscribing and rating and literally everything that you do.
And of course, if you're looking to subscribe to the podcast, there's a couple great places you can do that. You can check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/OTheAnthem. Find the Anthem on Twitter and Instagram at the Anthem. And if you're feeling froggy and you want to go over to Google Plus, because, that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's plus the Anthem.
If you're currently listening to us from Google headquarters and want to find some way to follow us, Google Plus.
Sure, yeah. And of course, you can always be a part of the show every single week. You can comment on YouTube, where we go live every single week at youtube.com/OTheAnthem. Or you can text the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. So, it has been an interesting week here in Los Angeles. Sorry you guys are having a bit of cold out east.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's going to be 91 degrees in Los Angeles on Thanksgiving. Just letting you know. Just
so you know what we're
putting that
dealing
out
with.
there.
The other thing that we're dealing with is, oh my God, apparently I have entered the world of Twilight because my eyes right now are so blue.
Yeah.
Enjoy that, everybody at home. But another thing that happened this week is I've been reliving the last year on Time Hop the last week. So I'm going to call an audible because we didn't talk about this in the pre-show meeting. I wanted a legitimate first look at Corey. You're seeing his face for the first time. Here he is. How are you feeling about the pictures you're seeing coming up on Time Hop?
Fine. Yeah. I mean, I look back on it fondly.
Yeah.
I think, much like I've said to Rachel before, like when she complains about oh, it's going to take so long to do something. I'm like, you only remember the good parts.
Yes.
You don't remember the 8 to 10 hours of driving every day. You only remember the time you spent in Denver.
Right, yeah.
It's all a blur in retrospect. So right now, I get to look back on, us having fun in Denver.
Yeah.
That happened a year ago today.
A year ago today was Denver. And of course,
tomorrow will be Vegas.
I was going to say, is that bonus podcast still available somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so people would have to go search for it, but you can find it. We did a special bonus podcast. If you were a supporter on Patreon for the Anthem, you had access to that.
Yeah. Or how about this? Follow us on Twitter.
Okay.
And just send us a message going hey, I want to hear that special Denver pod.
Okay.
And anytime this week as a Thanksgiving gift to you, I will just send it to you.
Hey, all right, so that's a way to get the bonus podcast from last year that was recorded 1 year ago today in Denver. And when we say it was recorded in Denver, what we mean is there are things in Denver that you can do that you can only do in certain places in this country.
Like California now.
Right. D.C.
Yeah.
Washington State.
Right.
And, of course, Colorado. So,
we did those things, and then we recorded a podcast.
And it's interesting, to say the least. But I think you're absolutely right in what you say about you don't remember the bad. I took a panorama at a gas station. I don't remember the drive to the gas station or from it. But now seeing that picture, I remember standing there on the rock.
The only time you ever, I remember losing Rachel in the Rockies.
Yes. Yeah.
When she slowed down a lot. I remember that. But
Right,
that was only because, there was a brief moment in time where we were, on the side of the road going, she's not answering her phone. Do you think there's a chance she's dead?
We proposed, maybe, what do we do if she is dead?
Yeah, do we...
Because, by the way, we can't go back. There is no turnaround for 40 miles. It's just onward. That's it.
I mean, we could have figured out a way to try and turn around at some... there would have been, a center...
Yeah, no. There was no turnaround. That was the thing. It was... Because at that point in the highway, they were off kilter.
Oh, that's right.
We couldn't have gotten over to the other side. So, instead we sat and waited for, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
and waited
in hopes that she would get there.
Not that we were speeding or anything, of course, but,
Well, her brakes were a little bit shaky, so she was going down a hill and her wheel was going crazy. So,
but and just reliving so on the 15th was the day that we left.
Yeah.
So just going through, and now today is the 19th, so the last 4 days have been that first day, that first overnight drive into Detroit that took way longer than we thought it was going to take. And we arrived in Detroit early in the morning on the 16th. We also left late. I think that was the thing too, right?
We left super late because we needed to pick up Rachel's our trip got, it was supposed to be 1 day longer than it ended up being. But we had to cut a day because Rachel's car took so long to get out of the shop.
That's right. I remember that now. So you guys had to go pick up a car, and it wasn't even ready till the mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
Pack up the car. It's dark, and we're heading out. We hit Royal Farms one last time, which in hindsight, a year later, I'm very glad we did.
Yeah.
That last stop at Royal Farms was really worth it.
Yeah, to get burger, cookies, and chicken.
Yeah. And then hit the road, and in Detroit on the 16th, we went to Slow's Barbecue the next day. We went to the Old Tiger Stadium.
Motown Museum.
We did go to the Motown Museum, too. From there to Chicago. And one of the things my parents were saying is like, listen, you guys could make the trip in less days. Why don't you just drive? And it'll be long, but you'll be appreciative that you're there faster. That extra day in Chicago was one of the best days of the trip.
Yeah.
Just being in, I know you guys have been there before, but being there and seeing the sights and being able to go out and do everything was so much fun. And then, of course, the stay in Omaha, where we saw the building that was used as the evil lair for every villain ever, and it's not, it should be. And then, of course, today on to Denver. So I'm looking forward to the next few days.
And then we got the 2 days in Vegas.
Right. So tonight was in Denver. We recorded that podcast, went to bed right after that. And then
a long drive to Vegas. We got into Vegas late, and then just the whole next day was just the fun in Vegas.
It was, yeah. And we've been back for 2 times since then. So we are coming up, the 22nd will be 1 year since we moved in here.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about your first year in Los Angeles?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I wish that it's weird because I wish I would have done it earlier, but at the same time, I feel like it was right to do it when we did.
Sure.
Because I feel like if I was younger, I would have been not like stupider about it, but like I wouldn't. Now that I know what it takes to like live a life.
Yeah.
Like now that you've gotten through the 20s of like trying to struggle and make things happen. You're more used to struggling and making things happen. So if you're moving to a new place where it's all about struggling, then you're more prepared for it mentally than you are.
I will say on the other side of it, though, if I had moved here in my early 20s, I would have been much more okay with sleeping in a not great apartment in the valley, paying $500 a month instead of paying what we pay here. Just like sharing a bedroom, like fresh out of college, where you've already been sharing a space with somebody.
Oh, I would have done like the live with 8 people here.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
if you're in your early 20s.
Oh yeah.
Now I can't imagine it. I would not be okay with that now. And so I mean, there's trade-offs. One, you get a little more life experience, and now, by the way, going into my job now, I couldn't have done what I've done there if I hadn't waited this long to come out.
Yeah.
So
I feel like things happen the way they're supposed to happen for a reason, and. I remember like when I was a kid, when I was 15 and 9 months specifically, I wanted to get my learner's permit, and my parents were against it. They were just like, oh, I think you need a little bit more time before you get on the road. Yeah. It was just like, you don't know me, I'm fine, I'm going to be good, don't worry about me. And then once, like, as I got a little older in life, I was just like, I think I see what they mean. Like, maybe I just need like a little bit more time to like... put things together than other people do. And like, you know, I moved out of the house a little bit later.
Right.
It's not super late compared to how late people are moving out now, but I mean like, what were we, like 24, 25 when we moved into residential?
Yeah. No, wait, so, yeah, I was about 25, 26?
Yeah.
I was probably 26, you were 25.
So it felt like I was living in my parents' house for way too long, but I mean, in retrospect, I think that was the right time to do that too.
Sure.
So, I mean, like, you know, while I would have liked to have been here now and had a couple years of career under my belt, I also feel like when I did it was the right time too, so.
Yeah, and it's... Yeah, like you said, you have to have that life experience. You have to appreciate the things that you have here, because I think that younger me probably would have given up and gone home at some point. Like, even you, when you get into those doldrums of, you know, it's some time between work, you start thinking about going home. But older you says, no, it's going to be okay.
It's not even. I feel like I would have just been an idiot. Like I would have just said like. I would have had the total like King of Hollywood hasn't even approached me yet about my script yet. Like, I would have not. Even 5 years ago, I would not have had the same sort of fortitude that I do now about it. You know?
Yeah, we are watching as you know because we're so unique and not like the entirety of the rest of America, we are watching This Is Us as it comes. We actually caught up this week to some weeks that we'd missed, and like my first thought was like, man, Kevin is an asshole.
Yeah.
But then, like, the more you you let it ruminate, you're like, man, I did all of these things. I did all of these things. We were talking about it. I went nose to nose with my dad over some bullshit reason, but I don't even remember what it is now, but I did that.
Yeah, I got high on Percocets and went back to my high school where they were honoring me.
Okay, well, so I didn't do that. That's not something I've done yet. Yeah. We keep our goals high.
My high school hasn't honored me yet. That's why.
Well, yeah. But we'll all be going home. So listen, North Carolina, maybe get on that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, just as teenage Kevin, I think about like you look at that. We're like, oh, judgy, you shouldn't do that. But then, I did all of those things.
Yeah.
And it gives you some pause to think about. And I think that it's really apt that every year that this comes up, this anniversary comes up of us coming here, it's going to fall on Thanksgiving week. So we'll have the opportunity to not only think about the things that we have to be thankful for at this time of year, every year, and in the last year, but to think about from our experience of moving here. It will always be the anniversary of moving here.
Right.
So, being that you guys are going to be listening to this episode on Tuesday, because why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah.
And Thursday is although maybe people will listen on Thursday. You have a whole day. You can sit down. Pour yourself a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Lower the lights. Hear our calming, soothing voices coming through the speakers to you.
What I would really like is I hear a lot of people talk about how horrible it is dealing with families on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like the political discussions, and I'm sure there's a Trump person in your family somewhere.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah. Everyone's got some uncle who's just like, well, they just get off his goddamn back and let him do some work. Anywho,
right.
I'd like to imagine that this year would be nice, but I understand it's a little short notice. I mean, maybe as the show continues to grow into the cultural phenomenon that it is, there will be some point next year where your Trump uncle will just be like, well, he's not done making America great again. So it's like, hold on a second, I got to play you this thing from the Anthem. Because they talk about this shit, and then play it, and then he can just be like, I don't know what they're talking about. They're just a bunch of kids. That's my go-to reaction for like...
For the uncle?
Yeah.
Yeah, the drunken uncle?
Right. The one, like, everyone who doesn't understand is just, they're too young. They don't know. He's 50 years old. He's young. He don't know what's going on. He's not an old man like me.
Yeah. But so again, this is Thanksgiving's coming up, and if you choose to listen to us on Thursday, maybe crank it up a little bit. Don't put it in the earphones. Let it come out the speaker and let your entire family
just listen to it while you cook.
Oh yeah,
and then everyone who comes in to try and help has to listen to
help. Yeah. Or as I do, to grab snacks as you're preparing the food and reduce the overall food.
Yeah.
And for us, we're gonna have a Friendsgiving instead of a traditional family Thanksgiving. So it's a way for you, if you're also having Friendsgiving, to introduce us to all of your friends. So if that's the opportunity, let's just take a second. Let's just take a second and say, hello, people. I hope that you are enjoying our soothing tones and you're enjoying the show.
Our dulcet tones.
We're going to be getting into some deeper topics later. It's not usually this superficial, but we hope that you stick around for the next 45 minutes or so and enjoy the show.
I think we did good.
I think it's good. All right, so anyway, before we get
moving on, everything's on fire.
Before we get off of that, do you have anything that's ripe in your mind that you are thankful for this year? Moving on, since we're on Thanksgiving week and all. Yeah.
I mean, really, I think I pretty much touched on it with all of my thoughts about this year in LA. I mean, it feels like much of what I have to be thankful for is just the new life that we've created for ourselves and everything. It obviously has its bumps in the road, but for the most part, I'd say it's been a romping success, and just more of that, hopefully,
Looking forward to more of that in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that November has been this November especially, but a lot of Novembers have been really great for me. I think November is the month I need to start looking at as the month of thankfulness. And not that anybody else is doing that. I feel like I should. Maybe should I patent the idea of November as the month of thankfulness? I feel like that hasn't been taken yet.
No.
Okay, I'm sure.
I went to CVS. It's all Christmas stuff, so it's right.
Oh, true, yeah, absolutely.
There's a hole in November between Thanksgiving or between Halloween and Christmas. Nothing happens. We should just try and make it a big holiday.
Totally going to make it something about thankfulness. But so in the past years that we talked about moving out here, that happened in November. I have written some of my best stuff, some of the novels that have gotten published. That's always happened in November. I publish novels in November. So a lot of the big things that I have done have happened in November, but nothing at all will even touch how good this November has been. Because my sister, Sarah, shout out to Sarah out there, hopefully she's listening, and hopefully a new set of ears listening along with her. Hello, Maxon. My nephew Maxon was born just this past week. And when you think that you don't have any more room in your life for people, when you think that I've got enough friends, I got enough family, I don't need anything else, then your sister sends you the most beautiful picture of a brand new baby smiling and chilling in his crib, and it warms the cold cockles of your heart, and you realize that yes, you can in fact love again.
Yeah.
So this is the first show where Maxon is here.
In the post-Maxon era.
Yes, we're now in wait, what is it? The AM theater.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not going to work out so well. It's the first AM, but I have new inspiration for my life. I spent the last year trying to do this thing for me, and now I'm thinking about he starts school in 6 years. That means I got to make the $1 million soon enough that I can convince her to move out here with him before he starts school. Because once you get him in the LA Unified School District, once we get him enrolled in a private school out here, then he'll be stuck and he'll have to stay here forever. So that's what we're going to have to do. But welcome to Maxon. It has been a fantastic week. This November tops every November. Moving to LA is great, but getting a picture.
Getting a little one.
Oh, God. Just tears you up in all the best ways. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to going home and seeing him in 33 days as of the posting of this. 33 days. So I hope... I'm getting all worked up. I can't... I'm looking forward to seeing
Rob does love babies.
I do love babies. As long as they're not mine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Obviously. You don't want that sprung on you.
Yeah, I don't want to be paying. Mostly I just don't want to be paying. Listen, if you'd like to have a baby and just, let me come and play with it and you pay for it and take care of it most of the time, I'm down for that.
Yeah.
It's the whole paying and, the not sleeping part. That
right, and the having to deal with it.
Yes. And mom more than it. I think mom is fine. The baby's fine. It's the it that's a problem. So, anyway, so, sorry, looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Let me just crank that down just a little bit. And I think we're back. I think we're good.
Check the YouTube page, too.
Think we're good?
Okay. Yeah, just making sure.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I saw something orange, and it didn't look like...
So as a reminder...
It didn't look like a promising...
Right, yeah. As a reminder, you can always join us over at youtube.com/ODAnthem/live. That's where we'll be going live every single week for every single episode. So make sure you join us there. You don't want to miss, obviously, new episodes of the podcast. Yeah. So, but going back to last Thanksgiving.
And obviously, we for the people who are watching live, the green screen was hung for something else, and we just haven't decided to bring it down yet. So
what's up? And we got an extra day off this week. Well, I mean, Corey has a day off all the time. But, your job is usually the weekends. Although you have had a little bit of week work, it's been a lot of weekends.
Yeah.
So this week I'll be off on Thursday, and while the women are in the kitchen cooking, we can be shooting something.
Yeah, we can do things.
And I don't mean that as a sexist commentary. I mean that as I can't cook for shit.
Rachel is just going to take it over.
That's also true too. Even if I want to.
Even if we said, "Hey, Rachel, just sit on the couch and relax. Rob and I got this," she would not. She would burst out and just come in. So.
Yes. Yeah, we couldn't lock her in a room to while we cooked either. She would want to be involved. But anyway, so we got some stuff cooking of our own up here on video. But going back to last Thanksgiving, we were driving across country and we had actually passed very south, but kind of close to Standing Rock Reserve. And it was in the news for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden went out of the news.
Because there hadn't been any oil spills.
Right. Well, they were putting
that shut up those people pretty quick.
They were putting in the Dakota pipeline, and for those of you guys who remember, President, it's not incumbent. What is it? It's
Well, Obama said, "I'm not going to okay this."
Yes.
And then incoming President Trump.
Yeah, but what is the term for that?
President-elect.
President-elect.
Yeah.
President-elect Trump said, listen, we're going to build this pipeline, and there's no downsides. There's no environmental downside. There's no person's impact of that. We're going to create jobs. They're using American steel. There's no downside.
Yeah.
And then
they didn't use American steel.
Nope.
There's very few jobs that have come to America
Yeah.
because it's a Canadian pipeline.
Yeah.
And just this week, 210,000 gallons of oil dumped in the middle of South Dakota.
Yeah. So.
And yet again, the most predictable natural disaster of our time can be easily eradicated by not building the fucking pipeline.
All I'm saying is that this time last year, there were people in the freezing cold getting sprayed with water cannons and pepper spray and being yanked out of their encampments. And all the message they wanted to have is, don't build the pipeline because the pipeline's going to leak. And when it leaks, it's going to ruin our groundwater and we're not going to have anything to drink.
Yeah.
And everyone said, oh, you guys are overreacting. It's not going to leak. It's going to be fine. This is the best pipeline we can possibly build. And a year later, literally a year from then, it leaks. And 210,000 gallons of crude oil into the environment. I don't think that's irony. It's not irony. Because irony, you would have to have some semblance that it wasn't actually going to happen. This is just like
fate.
It really is fate. It's
tempting fate.
We knew it was going to happen. Come on.
I mean, even if we knew it wasn't going to happen, the thing is that by saying out loud, there's no way it's going to spill, is the number one way of getting that shit to spill. Much like the Titanic.
I was going to say, this is the largest ship in the world. It will never sink. And then you hit an iceberg and sink.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Go back to like when LeBron James joined the Heat.
Yeah.
It's just like, not one championship, not two championships, not three championships, but 4 championships. It's like, as soon as you start counting the number of championships you're going to win, like, if you would have just won 3 in 4 years, which I think is what they did.
Yeah.
Or go to 3 finals in 4 years.
That's what it was.
That would have been enough. Yep. Like, that would have been a huge success for any franchise in a small period of time. But by already setting the bar at 4 championships, you fucked yourself.
Yeah, there's no you cannot ever deliver.
By saying that this pipeline is never going to leak, which pretty much every single pipeline in the history of pipelines has.
Yeah.
You've just fucked yourself. And I think Trump was just hoping that it wasn't going to happen until he was out of office.
And that, I sense that was the bet he was making.
Yeah.
Somebody told him, like, well, sir, that
you're going to be impeached way before this thing leaks. Oh, good. It's not going to be my problem.
I think they were telling him, like, the lifeline of a pipeline without a leak is somewhere between 8 and 10 years. And he's like, oh, that sounds like something that's not my problem.
That sounds like it's President Kim Kardashian's problem then.
President Kim Ye. But yeah. So I just don't know how to take the news, because part of me, it's not Stephen Colbert, it's John Oliver, where like you want to just slam the button and be like, we got him, we got him. But it doesn't really matter, because even though they've settled these things and we've done all these things, it doesn't change anything. The pipeline's not going to be shut down that it's been built. They're going to clean up the oil as well as they can. And
they're going to run a lot of commercials of Dove, or what is it, Dial and Baby Ducks in South Dakota.
Oh, we're cleaning the water. And maybe the CEO of Keystone is going to be like, we're sorry. We're sorry. And that'll be it. Yeah. Then it'll be a South Park episode in 6 weeks. Yeah. And, it'll
6
be...
6 weeks? 6 days.
Yeah. Garrison will be out there on the in South Dakota.
Yeah.
But, these are the things that... At what point are we going to say... Here's my problem, because I'm venturing into a neighborhood that I recognize the irony of this.
Go, do it.
I recognize it.
Do it. I would enjoy it for 1 week. You were the one who said something like that.
It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes I venture into territory that's going to cause me problems. And this is going to cause problems amongst people who support me, which is part of the problem here. But there are avoidable disasters. One is building a pipeline that... By the way, we talked about this last year. They moved it to its current position because at its formerly planned position, it endangered the groundwater of a bunch of white people in the town. And we can't have that, so we move it so it only endangers the groundwater of Indian people, Native American people who live on reservations. So that's a loss that we can stand.
Makes sense to me.
It is a completely plannable disaster. You know that is going to leak at some point, and this leak is going to be disastrous for people. So why don't we just not do it? But that's the exact same argument that people use for mass shootings. Like, eventually it's going to happen. And I saw something this week that made that direct connection. That, at some point America became okay with elementary schools being shot up. By the way, there was a shooting in an elementary school in California this week.
Mm-hmm.
Did not make the list high enough for us to talk about it. Which, it isn't saying it's a good or a bad thing, but so many other things happened this week that it didn't even make the list for us to possibly discuss it. We had other things we had to talk about.
Yeah, I mean...
But when Americans become okay with kids getting shot in elementary school, like, we've jumped the shark. When people are okay with a group being tortured with water cannons and pepper spray and being dragged out in the cold because all they want is clean water, and then the exact same thing that they predict happens, we jump the shark. And at what point?
Here's my thing. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
I don't know what could the Dakota people have done better. Like, they created camps in the cold.
Yes. With
no means of, like, water and food and stuff like that. Just the stuff that they bring with them. They're rationing off their own survival goods.
Yep.
They march on Washington. They make a national campaign out of it where everyone's talking about it.
Yep.
Yet still the pipeline gets made, and now the accident happens, and now what? I mean, like, I feel like if I was a dumb politician, if I was Donald Trump, I would have sort of, like, thought about the possibilities of this sort of thing happening and put out, like, a loser tax for the Dakota people, the Keystone people. I would have said, like, all right, listen, you're so sure that your pipeline isn't gonna go, so here's what we'll do. I'm gonna let you build it. We're gonna stick with all the agreements that we have in place, but there's a new addendum into the contract, and that is, if the shit spills, then you owe outrageous percentage. You owe 1,000 times whatever it actually costs to clean.
Right.
And we are going to do the cleaning. So we're going to figure out how much this shit costs.
Yeah.
You're not in charge of figuring out that number.
Yeah.
And then whatever we get at the end of it, 1,000 times that number is what you give to us.
Yeah.
And then the part that we have already put towards cleaning, we're going to take back. And all the money that is out there, like the extra punishment, is going to go towards, whatever, Native American groups,
impacted people,
environment, or impacted people, or whatever the case may be. But there should be a massive fine for a fuck up in this regard.
Yes, and
obviously the problem is that, like, the Dakota Access Pipeline is not owned by a company; it's owned by a shell company, which has no assets.
Yes, yeah. So if you sue it,
if you just give it a times $1,000 fine, they're just going to be like, we're bankrupt.
Yeah, they're going to say we only have one good asset. It's a pipeline. Do you want a pipeline? I mean, that's what
broken, but
it's got a couple problems. But no, I mean it's.
No, but I mean, like, at the end of the day, it should just be somebody's name that's on that form. So Rick Smith is on that form, and if for whatever reason this shit leaves,
I'm like, oh shit!
Oh, why did I agree to be the patsy on this?
Oh, they said it wasn't gonna leave. They said it wasn't gonna leave.
They promised me it wasn't gonna leave. And then the guy just walks in and is like, Rick, oil leaks happen all the time. It's like, why did anyone tell me before I put my name on it?
I feel like it's, do you remember
I literally took $500 to sign my name on this form. I didn't think it was going to come back up.
The Flintstones movie where they make Fred Flintstone the boss, and he's really just a patsy for everything that's going down. He's like, what do you mean there's a problem at the plant? I didn't even know. Yeah, it's basically that. Or any episode where a Family Guy where they put Peter in any position of power. That's just Rick. But so I just don't understand how these things keep happening. And I know I understand the irony because of my position as it's been before on mass shootings and gun control and all that stuff. And I know that these are basically all the same thing. It's preventable issues that pop up. But
here's the thing. I've often thought about, like, back in the olden times, if somebody fucked up badly enough, and not even badly enough, if someone fucked up, their head would end up on a pike.
Yeah.
If we were upset with the king, we'd kill the king, and we'd put his head on a spike in the public square.
Yeah.
And then that would teach them. That would send a lesson to the higher ups that we were not happy.
Yeah.
I wonder, even even in today's society, if people even had the gall to do such a thing, if that would send any kind of a message to anybody, like for instance, let's say that the people of Baltimore had it and they marched to City Hall and they put Catherine Pugh in the stocks, and just let her waste away in the stocks.
Wouldn't take that long.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying just put her in the stocks and then Catherine Pugh is dead. Yeah. And then everyone goes, mayors all across the country are oh shit, they just did that to a mayor in a city, and it's just hey, mayor of New York, are you sure you want to pollute the water? Because it seems like people are in the mood to rise up and take action against people. It's yeah, but they did that to Baltimore, they're not going to do it to us. Right. And then everyone will just start thinking, it's not going to happen to me, it's not going to happen to me, it's not going to happen to me.
Well, what you're describing is basically what happened in Europe right before World War I.
Yeah.
A lot of the kings fell because they were just well, listen, the French...
Denmark's in trouble, but not me.
My people love me, it's not a problem. And then you don't see the shadowy pitchforks and riots as they come in. So I guess... The problem is that I wanted to talk about this, but there is no good angle here. I mean, there's only bad angles. People are not going to have any water to drink, and it was totally preventable, and they told you so.
And the other part I don't like is, did you ever have anybody apologize for something, but also try and lower the bar a little bit?
Okay.
Let's say, for instance, you let me borrow your car.
Mm-hmm.
I needed to go somewhere, but Rachel has my keys and I can't use my car, so can I use your car?
Sure.
I get in your car, I go out there and I crash it. And I come home and I say to you, I crashed your car, but it's not as bad as it looks. It's gonna, you're hearing crash car and I know you're immediately thinking the worst.
Right, yeah.
I'm telling you right now, it's really not that bad. And you're like, oh, okay, good. It's not that bad. He'll be able to fix this. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. In time, it'll work itself out. And then you go down and you look at your car, and it's literally like a cube. And you're like, how much worse do you think I was going to take? The part that bothers me is not tell me up front how bad this is.
Yeah.
Don't lie to me and don't do this. Because, I know all the reports I was reading about the spill this week were just it didn't affect any groundwater. There doesn't seem to be much environmental impact in the area which the spill happened. And I'm just I'm reading. I'm oh, okay, all right. Well, at least that's a positive.
Right.
And I know in 5 months I'm going to read an article going all of South Dakota groundwater ruined by oil spill. And I'm yeah. So why don't you just fucking tell me the first time? You already fucked. You already fucked up. Because you could have just admitted all fault and gotten it out of the way early, and then we wouldn't have the second round of anger.
They know how people's mind works. And although there's 2 rounds of anger, neither one of those is as big as the 1 round of anger when you've done exactly what they said. Because right now you can be yes, we're talking about how that it's exactly what they said, but not exactly. Because yes, the report said it's not going to poison the groundwater. We basically are going to scoop out all this poison dirt, and it'll be fine. The pipeline is working as it should. This is why we designed it this way. But I know for a fact that we are going to get a report. It'll be a small report in 6 months, and it'll be 250,000 people
thrown in the dump.
Yeah. So and that's the problem is that we have such a short attention span, and we have other things to worry about. And
it might even be in this week's dump.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Friday after Thanksgiving is a perfect time for a dump.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's also apparently this time of year is apparently the first.
That sounded way dirtier than I wanted it to sound.
This time of year is apparently a good time to dump a new tax plan on the American people too.
Yeah.
So we got a request this week. Not that we wouldn't have talked about it anyway. I think it was on the list of things to talk about. Mm-hmm. But people wanted to hear our take on the new tax plan. So I turn to you, Corey.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about the new tax plan?
I don't understand how the Republicans could ruin something like the tax plan.
Okay.
I get that.
They're the low tax party, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. This is what they are doing.
I get that there's some Republican ideals that are not they're going to put in every single tax proposal they make, and nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to like the idea that the estate tax gets repealed. Nobody's going to like the idea that the corporate tax rate gets lowered.
Extremely lowered.
Yeah, 15% lowered. And people aren't going to like the fact that higher ups, the 1%, stuff like that, are going to get a tax break as well as the people who are further down the line. But at any point, I mean, like the Republicans released a healthcare plan that was just time after time polled in the teens in support. And this tax plan is much the same, where it's nobody likes it. But yet they're still going to roll it out like it's the greatest thing they've ever done.
Not only roll it out, it passed the House.
Oh yeah,
it was pushed through the House.
The Senate's going to be a trouble though.
Yeah, it's going to be just like healthcare. But
yeah, because if they have to vote straight on what it is without making huge sweeping changes to it, it's not going to go through the Senate.
Right, and so what they're saying is that the Senate is going to pass a way different bill, and then they're going to try to get it in.
Send it back to the House and see if they can get.
Well, no, they're going to go into committee and work out the differences between the two, and then that bill goes back to both houses where they have to pass it straight up and down.
Yeah.
But let's say that the Senate does pass a tax bill, which certainly they could, and it has to be based loosely on the Republican tax bill.
Yeah.
Then when they go into committee, there's going to be a bunch of old senators who look at the guys across the table from them and they say, listen, I'm here for another 4 years. What are you doing? You got to go up for election this November.
Yeah.
What are you possibly thinking by passing this bill? Do you only have rich people who vote in your district? I don't understand.
I mean, really, the what I've heard a lot of wonky people in Washington refer to this as is the fuck New York, New Jersey, and California tax plan.
Yes,
like that's essentially what the idea is.
Oh, by the way, and Maryland and Connecticut are also on that list. But notice, all Democratic states. Yeah, nobody's impacted in the flyover country.
Right. Yeah, where none of the people live.
48% of the people live there.
That's still less than the 52 that live coastal properties.
Yes, right, yeah.
Oceanfront
property.
I feel like if somebody, I've talked about this before, have somebody who's really smart look at like the general big swath of tax code and say, where can we make this better? If you picked I know he's a scientist, like a space scientist.
Okay.
It wouldn't work.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
But Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yes. If somebody said, hey, we got Neil deGrasse Tyson working on our tax plan, you'd be like, wow, Neil deGrasse, he's really smart. He could figure this out.
And you know what? He does math really well.
Yeah,
maybe he really could do it.
Maybe he could. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, if somebody said, like, get this, we got the biggest and the brightest working on this.
Yeah.
I can't think of like a famous mathematician
Ben Stein.
right now.
We got Ben Stein.
We got Ben Stein. He had so much money. He was giving it away on Comedy Central back for a while.
How about Stephen Hawking?
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I mean, like, just get a room full of really smart people.
Yeah.
And then say, like, what's wrong with our taxes? And then have them figure it out and then come out with a plan. And then, 10% here, 5% here to make it a little bit more evil enough for the Republican overlords who are like...
Do you know why they wouldn't do that?
Because it wouldn't be a good plan for the Republicans.
It would not be. Because by and far, people who are scientists are generally, 1, atheists, 2, socialists, and 3, they're generally of the idea that everyone should be treated equally and pay their fair share. I mean, maybe that makes them socialists, but I mean, more than their socialist ideals of healthcare.
I can't believe I'm actually going to say this sentence out loud, but maybe we should listen to Ted Cruz because he's got a pretty decent flat tax plan that sounds like it would work out. I know, it hurts me too to say it out loud, but flat tax? That's always seemed to be the to me, that's the, and I would argue a progressive flat tax, where the poorest brackets would pay less than the top brackets, but the difference between the two would not be sweeping.
What would you use the word progressive to describe Ted Cruz's flat tax plan?
No.
Would you use the word regressive to?
No, his is more along the lines of like we're literally just taking a percentage, and it works for everybody, regardless of whether you make 20 grand or if you make
But you
20
can
million.
understand how that is not fair taxation.
Oh yeah, I get why someone would think that's not fair. I also...
Wait, someone would? Do you think it's fair?
I think that the basic principle of a flat tax is fair.
Just a straight Ted Cruz percentage-based flat tax.
Let's say we ran the numbers and we said that 20% is the tax rate for everybody.
Right.
Then, yeah, I can definitely see why the argument for it would be out there.
Okay, let's do this. We're going to get into this. Here, take a look. We're going to get right up on Corey. I want you to look right at your camera, Corey.
Okay.
So here we go. Here's the numbers. You make $20,000 per year.
Yeah.
How much do you pay in taxes under your Corey/Cruz tax plan?
$4,000.
$4,000.
Yeah.
4,000 is a big nut. Of
Yeah.
20,000. All right. So let's say.
I mean, it's not the biggest nut in the world.
Let's say you make $20 million. How much do you pay in taxes under your tax plan?
That would be 40,000. No, 400,000.
20 million.
20 million. I'm sorry. That would be 4 million. What are you doing to me? I was in the middle of putting in numbers in a calculator, and you're asking me numbers. How dare you?
Here's my point. If you make $20,000, you pay $4,000, leaving you with $16,000 to live on for the year. If you make $20 million.
By the way, you're making $20,000 a year.
Yeah.
And the $4,000 tax plan, or the $4,000 in taxes you pay per year, would equal to $76.92 in taxes a week.
A week. Okay.
So
you're paying $76 a week.
Yeah.
So you multiply that by 4.
If you're making
$300 a month.
If you're making $380 a week.
Yeah.
Then you're giving about 70 of it to taxes, which is actually better than what you're doing right now.
If your federal tax is all you're paying, which is not what a flat tax is. Because even with a flat tax, you're still paying Medicare, you're still paying Social Security, you're still paying state taxes, and in many cases local taxes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you make
I would argue that there would be a better system if we eliminated Social Security. But that is way too far. That ball has rolled way too far down the hill to even think about fixing that.
You're probably right about that. So let's say
there's no way for any politician to be like, hey, I got a much better idea for Social Security, but what we have to do first is eliminate the Social Security we have now to be able to put my new plan, which is much better, into place. And then people would be like, never.
Yeah. So let's go back to the problem.
And I'd just be like, really, guys, that's terrible. Can we fix it? And it's like, no, we like our terrible thing.
Let's go back to the problem I proffered.
Yeah.
You make $20,000, you live on $16,000 per year.
Yes.
You make $20 million,
yeah.
You live on $16 million per year, and this is a fair plan in your mind.
This is not the plan that I would put forward.
I asked you if you thought it was fair.
Yes.
You think that is fair?
Yeah, but I also don't think fair is the relative term that we should be using.
I just want to do it for everybody. In the bottom left corner of your screen, you're going to see all the ways in which you can reach Corey. That's at LegendCB5, at all your social networks. Let him know what you think about his tax plan. And of course, going back, you can find him at, it's not on the screen. I thought it was on there as well. You can go to...
Smooth move, Ferguson.
Corey at ODAnthem.com for all your longer responses. But I, unfortunately, do not agree with you. I think a progressive floored flat tax is something we can discuss. It's still not the best way to handle a tax situation, but be that as it may.
Keep in mind that my progressive flat tax would also be much lower for the people at the low end and much higher for the people at the high end.
Right.
It wouldn't be the straight 20% for both sides. I'm saying, say it was 15 for the low and 25 for the high, just to make it a difference in numbers. Like, that is a much more reasonable, palatable number for most people.
We've talked about this so many times.
You would pay less all the way across the board. Everyone would pay less.
What periods did the U.S. have the greatest economic growth?
Turn of the century?
We've literally had this discussion on the podcast before. I think it was like 3 months ago. Okay, 1950s, greatest growth.
Yeah.
1990s, greatest growth.
Yeah.
What was the tax percentage paid by the highest income earners in those 2 periods.
I can't remember the number you gave me, but I know that you're going to remember it.
I'm absolutely going to remember it. In the 1940s into the 1950s, the highest earners were paying 79% of their income to taxes. And it caused the greatest economic growth in the history of our country. In the 1990s, the top income earners were paying 60% of their income in taxes, and it led to the second highest economic growth in our history. What say you?
I'm going to say this. If I was making more money as a big shot Hollywood person than I am currently,
Sure.
I would have my own company.
Right.
I'd have Corey Baker LLC.
Sure.
And all the money that I make would go to the company.
Right.
And then the company would pay out my expenses.
Right.
And then I wouldn't have to pay taxes. The company would have to pay
Right.
taxes. And the company pays taxes less than I pay taxes.
Sure.
If I'm just a freelancer and I'm getting the money come in.
But how does the company avoid even more taxes?
Oh, by not having it based in the United States or
not
having
even
it
that.
offshore?
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying, like, how could you say? How does the company?
I mean, like, you know, I would, if I was in the plan where I have a company rather than money just coming directly to me, the company can buy the car.
Sure.
Like, so the car that I drive everywhere can be a company car.
Right.
And even though it lives at my home and I'm the only one who drives it,
it's a company car.
It's a company car.
Here's why.
And then I don't have to pay any kind of thing. The company pays for everything regarding the car.
Here's why I'm okay though with that scenario.
I can also do things like we have food available for the company that we purchase.
Yeah.
And that's just food that I live off of here.
Sure.
But technically, I bought it for the
But here's
the company of me.
Here's why I'm okay with that though, because if Corey Baker LLC has $2.5 million at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Corey Baker LLC's accountant looks at Corey Baker and says, "We are going to take a bath on this profit.
Yeah.
What are some alternatives we can do with this money?" And what could you do with $2.5 million?
I mean, I could purchase something.
Or,
I could donate money.
come on, what would Corey Baker LLC's be? What would you do?
Oh, I mean, like I could put it in. I could just give it out to me.
You could make it out to me.
I could just pay it out to me.
What is the purpose of Corey Baker LLC?
To shield myself from as many
No,
tax.
but what does it do?
Protects it. What do
You make movies. You make movies. So you have $2.5 million at the end of the year.
Right.
Your accountant says we're going to take a bath on the taxes. What should your first response be?
Let's make a movie.
All right, and then where does that $2.5 million go?
Into a new company that creates.
No. Forget about the stagnation.
Yeah.
But it goes into the pockets of 400 people who make that movie for you.
Yeah.
And in the end, you get a reel of film or a hard drive with digital material on it, which is valued at $2.5 million to you. But you know what the government values that at?
Nothing.
Nothing!
Yeah.
So now you've created jobs and you've paid people who are going to take that money and go buy things with it that other people have made instead of taking the tax. That's why high taxes on rich people work. Because instead of taking the money for themselves and buying a car or a house or something else, what they do is they say, we're going to take a bath on this. Let's go hire a bunch of new people. Let's build a factory and put people in it to work because I would rather have that item which has value to me but not to the federal government.
But I mean, here's the thing. There's no system that you would be able to create that would fix this I mean, so Apple famously on every single box that you purchase from them, every $1,000 iPhone you buy, you see "Made in California" written on the back. But it should basically say "based in the Cayman Islands" because that's where Apple is located.
Well,
they are for legal tax purposes not registered as a company in the United States.
Right.
None of their money comes to a company in the United States. They go directly to literally wherever the hell it is, like Denmark or something like that.
Sure.
Where there's like
Ireland for a while.
Yeah, there's a shield on corporate taxes and. They take all the money in, and then they send it to the parent company, and then they divvy it out to the employees, and then Apple pays almost nothing in taxes.
So you don't understand, because that's not how it works. Because if they were to bring it back to the parent company, they would get taxed on it.
Yeah.
That money has to stay overseas. So how do they get the money back here? How, when they have $10 billion in Grand Cayman, and all their employees are in America, how do they get that money?
Well, one fun way of doing it is stocks. can give them
because you
stock
still have to
options.
pay taxes
Yeah.
on it.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like.
So in the end, what they can do is they can find a company in
But
the
that
US.
can be labeled as bonuses and shit like that too.
They can find a company in the U.S. to take a $1 billion loan from. That brings them cash in the U.S. at $1 billion. They secure that money by a $1 billion worth of value in their account in Grand Cayman.
Yeah.
And then when the first payment comes due, you know what they do?
Just transfer it over.
No, because you can't, because then you have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
You default on the loan. And so what does the person who you took the loan from do?
Go collect.
They collect $1 billion from your account in Grand Cayman plus 10% or whatever your interest is, and now you have the money here in America. So another part of the Trump tax plan, or the congressional tax plan, however you want to call it, is to give a forgiveness of certain percentages, lower the tax rate so that these companies can move their profits back to America. And that sounds great, except for if we close the loopholes that let them move this money back without taxes, they could. I think that they said that there's $400 billion like per year offshore that's just being essentially laundered into American banks.
Yeah.
So if you want to pay for Medicare, if you want to pay for Social Security, if you want new roads and new schools and everything else, make these companies pay their fair share. It's not just about rich people paying their fair share; it's about companies too. So
I mean, the problem is that over many years, many decades, well-to-do Americans have figured out how to get little favors put for them in the massive tax code. It's like a phone book. If you look at all the laws that have to do with taxes, both federally and in state levels.
Yeah.
In big states like California, I'm sure it's just as phone booky as it is on the federal system. If you want to figure out the best way of sorting this all out and trying to make it better, you really just have to reform the tax code from go.
Yes.
Which is why I'm saying get a bunch of smart people in the room.
And reform the code. But
I mean, like the way the Republicans would be able to pass a tax plan that people would like and would appease their corporate overlords is by trying to find a way to give charge everybody in America less for taxes. And if you could figure out a way to lessen the tax code in a way that, like, hey, we cut out half the regulations that don't even matter anymore. Like, right there, and just not having to have people check it is going to save people money. Because you're going to have less tax agents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's one way. You could give everybody a tax break just by cutting some regulation. And something that, an oil baron from the 1970s got passed. Yeah. That doesn't apply anymore. It can just be eliminated from the tax code.
Right.
The other thing is just honestly, I don't know why the Republicans don't bother just going out there and saying that we are going to tax the top 1% within an inch of their lives. Because most of the top 1% is not paying taxes
at all.
At all.
Yep.
I mean, like, if you own a farm, and by own a farm, literally just own a property that can farm, not even a farm.
Yes.
And if you're very rich, like, buy a farm in Wyoming that you don't farm on and just make it your regular address. Then you don't pay any state income tax.
Right.
You get a farm subsidy, which is worth whatever the value of your farm is.
Per acre. There's a per acre value.
Right. And right there, you're already making out just by having a legal residence in Wyoming.
Yeah.
You don't even have to fucking live there. There are so many millionaires who have their residence in Wyoming or in South Dakota or any of these states that have Delaware, that have low state tax rates.
Yep.
Florida is another one that has a phenomenally low state tax rate. You can just have a property there, pay less in taxes just by living there, and you're already off the boat. And if you are, pick a rich person, Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
If you're Warren Buffett and you want to have as much of your money as humanly possible, you pay your tax guy who knows all the regulations, and he figures out a way to save you every little dollar he can.
Right.
And Warren Buffett is never going to pay the actual tax rate that is put to him on paper.
Yeah.
He's going to find out a way to get every single little subsidy and make it less. So I don't even know why they don't even bother just coming out with the rule that just says, like, if you're in the top 1%, you're getting taxed at 90%, because they're going to figure out a way around it anyway, and it'll appease the people who think that.
People like me?
Yeah. But if you heard that there was a 90% tax rate for the top 1%, you'd be like,
better.
"Oh, everything's better."
Yes.
But if we looked back on it, like investigative reporting, and said like, "Hey, did you find out that actually every single person in the 1% only paid 7% in taxes?"
Yeah, but when they paid 1% the year before,
right?
I'm okay.
Yeah,
we're increasing it. You know what I mean? If Warren Buffett went from paying 15 to paying 50. Okay.
Yeah.
He kept more of his money. He had to pay more to do it. All things being equal, I'll take that.
All right.
But in the end, the Republican tax plan really is this: let's get rid of Obamacare again, because they snuck that into the bill just by doing taxes. They are going to increase the taxes on the middle class and on poor people especially, basically, and to cut taxes for the super rich. They're going to put us in a deficit once again. Basically, it's Bush all over again. Tax cuts for the super rich, because trickle-down economics works, despite the fact that it doesn't work. And then, for some reason, poor people are going to be okay. It's a big sign that says, fuck poor people, and they don't really care, because poor people don't have any voice, which was another story that came out this week, that essentially we are an oligarchy because anyone, the top 97% of people in our country have no political voice. So that's it. Yeah. And that's actually being shown right now on the streets of West Baltimore, funny enough.
Sounds like we're going to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
Yeah.
All right. So for anybody who's been in the city of Baltimore recently,
run!
Yeah, it's not been a good year in Baltimore.
No.
And
all I do is look. I think back to all the times I said during the mayoral election, mostly the Democratic primary because it was over once that was decided. But I look back fondly on those times and say, Corey was really smart by saying we need to take your medicine mayor.
Yes.
No, didn't happen. Now look what's happening. Bet you wish you had to take your medicine mayor now, don't you, Baltimore? It's right. You could have elected me. I would have fixed these things.
Yeah.
I would have died on the cross for all your sins. I would have fixed it all.
Right before he moved to LA.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be doing most of my marrying from here, but that doesn't change. I mean, listen, the LA mayor does most of his marrying outside of LA.
That's true, and may or may not run for president directly from the mayorship.
There's no point in him running for anything but that. So
who knows?
I mean, he's not going to be elected a senator. He's not going to be elected governor. Just based off of the fact that nobody from Southern California has ever won the governorship.
Yeah. The only ones from the major city are from San Francisco.
I mean, there's Southern California people, but not like L.A.
Right.
Southern. I mean, wasn't Reagan was governor, right?
He was governor, yes.
Yeah, but he wasn't L.A. I guess he's different.
I was gonna say he was known for the actors breaking up the communist. Actors, so that's how he got famous. Not
right.
He wasn't LA's mayor.
Yeah, he wasn't a mayor of LA. He just ran for governor.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess you could count Schwarzenegger as that too, but he was never a stepping stone position. He was never mayor of LA or anything like that.
He and Reagan were the same way. They were known for other things, acting. Reagan both for acting somewhat, and also because he was a vocal member of the John Wayne's group. What was that? The People for the American Way or whatever it was.
He was also like president of SAG or
SAG,
something like that.
yeah. But anyway, who broke up all the communists in Hollywood, which is how we got famous in the American government. But
fun fact: nobody who's been mayor of LA has ever been elected governor of California. So
second largest city in the country.
Yeah,
can't get a man elected to the governorship.
So there's no point in Garcetti running for governor. He's pretty much boxed out on the Senate too, because Kamala Harris is going to keep that seat. And Feinstein will literally die in that chair, despite everyone asking her to just die earlier.
Despite what we said in episode 187 about finding somebody new who has your values, grooming them, and letting them have the seat.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, someone else who is never going to have a chance to get a higher office, Mayor Pugh from Baltimore, not handling the situation very well in Baltimore City.
I'll say this. In comparison to Stephanie Rawlings Blake.
Oh, what a comparison! Yeah.
I can. This is gonna be fun. I can actually see she's trying. It actually looks like she's making some sort of an effort to try and fix things.
Right. Yeah.
The problem is that she's just spinning wheels. Like nothing works, and it's like, have you ever been driving with somebody who's spun out and they don't know what they're doing?
Yeah. It's
like,
just screaming. And
it's like slamming on the brake. It's like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, we gotta stop. It's
turn
like,
into the spin.
No, I'm gonna turn away from the spin. This feels right. Like, none of these things. She is trying. I can, and you know, at the very least, I appreciate that she's trying.
Yeah.
And
she's out there.
Yeah.
You've seen her
recently. Yeah. I mean, there was a while there where, you know, unless she was cutting a ribbon at a police ceremony, she wasn't being seen anywhere. But at least now she's going on to podcasts and stuff like that and trying to even out the impending doom of having 300 murders by October.
Yeah, and racing up towards 350 murders.
Yeah.
And
then a cop caught a bullet this weekend.
Right.
And now all of West Side is on lockdown.
So the one of the big issues this week, on the Baltimore corner, is that there was an officer who was shot on the West Side, and you will not see on any news network what is really happening on the West Side of Baltimore. You have to go over to.
Well, I mean, much like during the coverage of Freddie Gray, the news people don't feel comfortable going into real West Baltimore.
Right.
They'll stay on North Avenue and Penn.
They weren't really comfortable there either.
They were finding a way to live in that moment.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, if you're going, there's no way you would actually catch them in like straight West Baltimore.
No. But if you go onto Twitter, and if you do go onto Twitter, you can find me right there at Robert N. Sheik. Podcast is
over
right there
here
at the Anthem. Corey's at Legend CB5. Yeah. So if you go on Twitter, though, you kind of get the real story. And I would say I was surprised because I hadn't, again, you don't see it on WBAL. You're not hearing anybody talk about it. The Sun's not talking about it. And all of a sudden I'm seeing these tweets like, West Baltimore is on lockdown. If you leave 40, the cops are going to direct you right back on 40. There is no getting off of the highway to nowhere. It is, you go from Martin Luther King to Catonsville. That's it. Stay on that highway.
Yeah.
And if you try to get off, they're checking IDs. Like, if you don't live in the neighborhood, sorry, you're out of luck. We're not letting you in. Which, by the way, guys, is unconstitutional.
Yeah.
You have the right to travel anywhere that you want in the country. They can't keep you from going there just because you don't live there.
I mean, technically, they can temporarily close down a street.
Sure.
Like if there's a sinkhole.
For safety concerns, yeah.
Like, or, we're doing a investigation of this area. It's temporarily closed.
But you can't shut down 9 square block, or probably more, 50 square blocks of West
You
Baltimore.
can't shut down 1/3 of the city because you fucking feel like it.
And, by the way, they're not talking to witnesses. They're not knocking on doors.
Yeah.
They are literally just harassing anyone on the street, doing...
Well, nobody's going to bother talking to them anyway, so they might as well...
It is West Baltimore, true. I mean, you can put in the effort, though. Knock on a damn door. They're going to slam the door in your face, but knock on the door. Try to do some police work.
I still maintain that the way to fix this is by eliminating the Baltimore Police Department. We need to get the FOP out of here. We need to just start fresh. Pew, I heard her on Roughly Speaking talking about how there's 200 cadets or something like that currently in the Baltimore police training. And I was just like, all those police officers are just going to have to be fired under the Corey plan because all of them are learning horrible bad techniques that are not going to apply to the job that they're actually...
What are these new cadets learning? Now, guys, keep in mind, when you press the button to turn on your camera, it's going to play the last 30 seconds.
Yeah. So before you do anything, press the button, bullshit for 30 seconds, for 30 seconds,
then press the button.
And then go about planting your evidence.
No. Plant your evidence, and then bullshit for 30 seconds, and then hit the button and go find it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you have to. That's what they're learning.
Right.
Well, now we know how the tech works. We have to wait 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing. And I, as you all know, I support Corey's plan to dismantle the Baltimore Police Department and start fresh. But we may not need anyone to do that because the federal court may end up doing that for us. Because the other story out of Baltimore this week on the Baltimore Corner is that the gun task force, which has been in the news recently.
For having 6 indictments on it?
Yes.
That Baltimore gun task force?
Exactly right. It was learned that not only were they stealing drugs from drug dealers and selling those drugs on the streets of Baltimore, by the way, getting their own crews together, giving the drugs that they stole to their crews to sell. Not only were they doing that, and also taking weapons and using those weapons to enforce their drug empire, not only were they selling drugs and running guns and doing basically everything that a gang does, but they're not a gang, they're the police department. They were also trafficking narcotics up and down the 95 corridor, specifically in this case, as the evidence points, to Philadelphia.
Yes.
And selling those drugs to Philadelphia police officers.
Who were then selling them to people who wanted drugs.
Sometimes you hear a story and it just makes you smile. And this is the story that made me smile this week. It's ridiculous. At some point we're going to find out that there isn't really a drug problem anywhere on the East Coast. It's just cops
the police
stealing drugs from each other and selling them. Like there was, I think it was New York. I want to say it was New York. But there was a story about how there was an undercover cop selling drugs and an undercover cop from a different precinct buying drugs. And the buyers went and bought from the sellers. The seller's crew runs out to arrest them. And when they pull out their badges and like, hey, we're cops, they start beating on them. So then the buyer's crew comes rolling up. And now they are pulling, it is Super Troopers. Wait, is it Super? Yeah, Super Troopers. Where there are guys from both sides in cuffs, and they're basically trading off in the street. Like, all right, I'll give you so-and-so for so-and-so. They punched each other. They pulled guns on each other. 2 different precincts of cops.
Yeah.
In the drug trade. Now, I'm not saying that either one of those crews were doing anything illegal, but it seems like we're going to find out 10 years from now that there was really no drug problem on the East Coast. It was cops who were stealing drugs from other cops, selling them to civilians, and basically having this drug trade.
Yeah.
The heroin epidemic. 2 causes. Doctors overprescribing and cops who got into the drug game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't.
I feel like how many cops do you know in your life?
0.
Hold on. Let me finish first. How many cops, obviously you probably haven't done this to 100% of cops, so you wouldn't have like a firm number.
Sure.
But just from best guesstimate, what percentage of cops do you think you could bribe that you've dealt with?
If money was no object? Or
obviously the bribe amount would probably change cop to cop.
Yeah.
Like the 20 rolled up wouldn't work for most of them, but like if you had $1,000,
I think the amount goes up for every different cop.
But I'm saying like $1,000 might be the highest end.
Sure.
Might be the most expensive bribe you'd have to give.
Or there's some cops who are all do-gooders and they don't care about the money so much, but they do care about, I have information about you. I know about your girlfriend on the side. I know about, if you want to get real bit, I know where your kids go to school. I know where your wife works. Like, you go from bribe to threat along that thing. I think there's probably 9 out of 10 cops that I know.
That sounds about right.
There were G.I. Joe cops who are like, no, I enforce the law, this is it. By the way, good cops generally, because they're only doing what they think is right.
Yeah.
So those are the cops I'm actually okay with, because they're assholes, but at least they apply the law.
I think that's right. I feel like 90% of cops could be bribed.
Yeah.
And 10% are actually good, honest police officers who like could not be bought, kind of thing. And I think if that's the numbers that we're dealing with, then that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because the chances of being able to do illegal things and not get caught as a police officer is getting it's. We talked earlier in the episode about the 1,000% increase on your fine.
Yeah.
I feel like part of the problem with the police is if they kill somebody, then their likelihood of actually going to jail is less than that of a civilian.
Right. Yeah.
But if suddenly it was the punishment was worse for the cop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was 10 years for a civilian and it was 100 years for a cop, then you would all of a sudden see a lot less people getting shot by police.
Yeah, and they would not do their jobs like we saw in Baltimore.
Right, but I'm saying, like, if you just focused on the good ones and, like, worked on a system where only good ones get into the system, and then the punishment for impropriety is so high, then I imagine you could sort things out a lot quicker.
I support that plan 100%.
But I feel like the problem is you have to work outside. You have to just not involve a police union in the creation of this police force, because there is not a chance you would be able to get the FOP to sign off on anything.
Especially the FOP that exists now.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if FOPs are made by their members. So if you got rid of everybody, got nothing but good cops in, and let them form a union, maybe I'm okay with that then.
I'm fine with them eventually having a union.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'd rather it not be through the FOP. I'd rather sort it out myself first. And in the meantime, you are just all employees of the city of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not sure how I feel about us ending the episode on agreeing on something. I feel like maybe we should just bring up another topic just so you can
just quickly get through.
Well, I'm regretting that I'm the one who said something that people are going to get upset about this week. Are you sure you don't want to talk about some insulting thing that you said this week to a woman, or no?
Was that something insulting to a woman?
No. If you guys follow us on Twitter, you'll see that Corey made a comment this week, which I kept off Twitter per your request, but I did mention that something.
But to be fair,
I would not be one of the good cops. By the way, I would not be one of the good cops. I would be bad at my job.
I'm glad that there's at least enough. There's a second gear in me enough that I can recognize when I'm on the podcast.
Yeah.
And try my best to not say the most outrageous things that I say when the cameras aren't rolling.
Yeah, I mean,
but the problem is that
that is not low enough.
One of my favorite things to do is say something really outrageous in front of Rob and then see what his reaction is.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you'll actually give me the wait a minute, hold on, that's low, and then I'm just like, good, that's the
racist.
That's the reaction I was hoping for.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where you're like, you just chortle along and
type out a tweet. Type out a tweet. The world needs to know who this person really is.
Anyway, I think we've done good here today.
Wow, you really skipped over the whole.
What did I skip over? TheAnthem.com, Corey to TheAnthem.com, or The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595.
190 episodes, folks. We've done 190 episodes of
that
this
was
podcast.
Intentional.
Sure it was, yeah.
No, I wanted to see you get all...
yeah, sure.
You remember how I just talked about liking to see you get all frazzled?
You can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, foundinthefuture.us, the news website, adeaddrop.com, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Barrow's books.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you are listening to the Yo the Anthem podcast, part of the Yo the Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
All right, now time to go smoke some drug cigarettes.